fucking suit. And I got the Spider-Man in it, because Spider-Man does do, like, shit like that, where it was like, okay, so I get him trying to save them. I'm just like, it still kind of amounted to nothing. Like, I felt like the movie could have done more to resolve that for us, to at least make it worth it in some way. But basically, from what I understand, these niggas all went back to die, or basically still live the same shitty lives they were living before. And if that's the case, then you really lost your mom for nothing.
No, see, but most of their lives were shitty because they were, like, fucked up people. Right now, the argument could be maybe they're about to go back to die in a certain situation.
Wait, don't kill me. I'm good now.
I mean, but we don't know that, though, right? We're assuming that.
Yeah, we don't know.
That's
We don't
the
know
problem.
that. But if it is, that's the case, they coming back to Spider-Man, that probably would stop. You know what I'm saying? Spider-Man will probably stop and be like, really? Are you good? You sure? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
We must pay homage to him.
All right, time to get some people mad. Spider-Man No Way Home. So that movie dropped. And I watched it. Here's what I'll start off by saying: it is not bad. I think it's a good movie. I think if I'm giving it my rating with my bad included, it's probably like a 7 or 8 out of 10. If I found a way to forgive the bad, I'd probably go like a high 8 or like an early 9. But I couldn't give it 10 out of 10. I do think that the audience overhyped it a bit, because I felt like when I was watching the movie, most of the hype moments were memeberberry moments and not necessarily like the actual story. Mm-hmm. So it was just like, oh, you remember this nigga. Yay. Like, that's when I heard shit pop off. But to me, the real disappointment of this film, especially having watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse before, was the premise. I think the premise was like absolutely horrible. I don't feel like Doctor Strange would do what he did. Not knowing Doctor Strange is a true whatever. But I get that the movie Doctor Strange is a little bit more lighthearted than maybe the comics may be or whatever. But I honestly felt like what Peter went and asked him to do seemed odd for him to go ahead and do. And then all of the choices Peter made after that just really bothered me more than anything. Even though I got, like, it is Spider-Man, so I was like, yeah, this is some shit that Spider-Man would do. I was still kind of like, and I don't feel like the ending really resolved it. I feel like it kind of gave him a cop-out. I felt like it would have been better if everyone remembered that he did that shit. Because he did do that shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you done? No,
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good for now.
Yeah, I mean, Player 5 is a comic guy, so I was like, he can obviously talk about it. But from my YouTube video watching tutorials, they say that's kind of how Doctor Strange is, because he's like he's like cocky and he think he could do anything. So he was like, oh, that ain't shit for me. I can make all these niggas forget. And so he just did it because he just egotistical ass nigga. But I agree with most of your points though. That's why I didn't say it was like the best comic book movie ever. I didn't think that. But yeah, I agree with most of those points somewhat.
I could give it some save for that. The other aspect with the nostalgia part too is just like I felt like, so I'm a guy who really, really likes crossovers. Like, if you caught me when I was a kid watching Power Rangers, my favorite episodes of every Power Rangers was the episodes when the old niggas came back to fight with the new niggas. So like, I like really like that shit. So when I think of all of the Spider-Man related content that I've watched with crossovers, 3 things come to mind, right? This movie, the 90s TV show, when all of the like Spider-Man came together for the Clone Wars type shit, which I thought was dope, and then Spider-Man Into the Verse. And if I compare it to those 3, I go like, from a story standpoint, this wasn't as good. why it was good to me was because I had a relationship with the other two Spider-Man being brought in. I feel like if I was to show my kid, for example, all three of those events, they could fuck with those first two, but they would have no context for that last one. They would just be like, okay, some more Spider-Man came up. And I would be like, yeah.
As a standalone, you're saying, without no prior history of these others.
Right. Without no prior, I don't know how you resonate with that movie the way I did without knowing those other two guys. You know what I mean? And the movies that they came from aren't something I'm really going to go like, oh, you have to watch these two movies. Maybe Tobey Maguire ones, but like Andrew Garfield, like, nah, come on. I'm not going to force my kid to watch that just so they get the context in this movie. But that's where I'm at. Go ahead. Like, I know it's been building, but you've been very quiet, so I know this nigga got something to drill into.
It's your opinion, so you know, it is what it is. I felt like to the topic about like Doctor Strange, his reasoning for doing it. I think, like, obviously Deuce pointed out that he is an extremely cocky person, and I feel like, sure, that's the comic book validation. Mm-hmm. But personally, I hate when these movies just use comic book reasoning to validate something. Because, like, my argument is always that the comic books were a failing business. We shouldn't copy them. You know? But my thing is that, like...
Damn!
If we look at the story, like, take all that shit away. Take all the powers away. You are a powerful man, and a child, a 16, 17-year-old boy come up to you like his life is ruined from being in social media. He getting fucked out of colleges, all this stuff. And you like, bro, I got the power to flip this. It would just be an inconvenience to me. Like, I felt personally that was more than a reasonable reason to be like, yeah, all right, yeah, I'll fuck with you, bro. You're a little boy. I'll do this for you. That's why I'm like, I completely am okay with that, because there's some comic book precedent, and it's also like just a solid thing to do for a little kid.
I felt like there was a lot of privilege in changing the world. I get that it was like an inconvenience for him, but I just felt like from a privilege standpoint, like, really, Nick? And then, like, the more... What, like, spit on my face was, like, after, like, when he was halfway through the spell and he was like, wait, you didn't even try to talk to these niggas before you asked me to, like, fix this stuff? Like, that, to me, was even more of a spit in the face. I would have felt it more
I felt Doctor Strange privilege in that moment. That's rich white boy privilege, let's be honest. Because if you're not a rich white boy, you do not know that's a thing. You know what I'm saying? That like, if they tell you you're not in the school that you can fight back, like, you really took that L. Mm-hmm. If you were in the my parents are low middle class and down group of people, you did not know you do that. I'm not in that motherfucker. Only niggas know they can do that as people with money.
I feel you on that, but isn't it more privileged that you just were like, hey, my life sucks, so I'm just gonna go to this magical wizard nigga and have him take care of all of my problems.
That's you stay at the world with this nigga, y'all supposedly y'all got a little relationship, y'all cool.
Okay, so let's look at where all the other Avengers landed, and if they went and cried to Doctor Strange about their problems.
Yes, that's on them.
I get you, but what I'm saying is
Wanda was out here
because as mature adults they realized.
Knocked unconscious in their bed for months. She should have went to Doctor Strange. To me, like, while it annoyed me that he did that, I did feel like he got the stupid payback because he lost, spoiler alert, Aunt May. And that was all his decision. If he never did that shit, he would never have lost her. And if he never did the more stupid shit on top of that of like, oh, these niggas don't need to go back to their timeline, we can fix them, which once again I have a big gripe with, because unless they're going to promise me that they will explain how these niggas, like, continued on healed, I feel like it was a waste of my time to even go through that bullshit. Mm-hmm. Like, if you go, they took them all from weird times, so they didn't even explain that part, right? So they took Doc Ock right before he was going to get killed. My understanding is when that nigga went back, he still got murked. So what was the point of being healed if you're still going to go back and get murked, right? Like... Oh, okay. I guess that meant...
Yeah, right. I thought he was going to
but... Right.
But no.
But that was some of my gripes with that. Did you watch it?
I didn't, but I already been spoiled like completely, practically. I mean, even before now. So it's just like I'll watch it eventually. But no, I'm pretty much in a complete agreement regarding the whole. So you tried no other avenues than go to homie Doctor Strange to literally manipulate the entire world so you can be Gucci. Right. I mean, I feel like there should at least be.
I would have felt better if it was just for his friends. Like, he kind of added his friends as like a add-on to it, which I was like, all right, sure. But like, it just, the premise was weird. I just felt like there was a better way to write that to where it just didn't seem so privilegey of just like, hey, my life sucked. Like, his life would be fine. Like, he's still smart as fuck. The only thing that he really fucked over, I felt like, was his friends' lives. Mm. And I was even more mad because I was like, so you fucked their lives over. Then this whole bullshit happened. They kind of found a little bit of happiness, at least the fat guy did, because he started using magic and shit. So I was like, oh, this may go down somewhere. And then it's like, nope, we forgot about all this, but we're not really going to explain what parts they remember and what parts they don't. So I was just like...
like, the whole...
Okay.
So again, going to the spell, getting the spell done, to me, that wasn't a big deal, because it just made sense to me. If I was in Spider-Man's shoes, I would have hit him up, his ass up too. But what I didn't like how they brought in the villains, right? I know what you said, like, the whole point, them being there, like, they're like, their arc of turning into good people. Yeah. What was the point? That all kind of didn't make sense.
I didn't get that.
It was like you said, all these niggas just gonna die when they go back anyway? Like, that nigga was right in the ocean, bro. Like, you gonna send him back? That's what like, and then, that's kind of petty. You made him do all this,
and you lost your mom, basically your mom off that, which is more annoying to me. I'm like, you lost your mom off basically doing what amounts to nothing.
Oh, yeah, and that's what pissed me off even more, because Spider-Man was kind of stupid in the movie. Like, not for going to Doctor Strange. Like, everything. Sure. Everything after that, once the spell fucked up, it was like, I'm like, nigga, why are you trying to
send these niggas home?
Like, you don't know these niggas. I guess Spider-Man is a stupid character, like you said, but it just, we're probably supposed to be annoyed, really. I assume that's what we're supposed to feel, but it still was stupid though. Like, nigga, your aunt just died because you want to try and save some niggas.
Be fucking stupid. And I got the Spider-Man in it, because Spider-Man does do like shit like that, where it was like, okay, so I get him trying to save them. I'm just like, it still kind of amounted to nothing. Like, I felt like the movie could have done more to resolve that for us, to at least make it worth it in some way. But basically, from what I understand, these niggas all went back to die, or basically still live the same shitty lives they were living before. And if that's the case, then you really lost your mom for nothing.
See, but most of their lives were shitty because they were like fucked up people. Right now, the argument could be maybe they're about to go back to die in a certain situation.
Wait, don't kill me. I'm good now.
I mean, but we don't know that though, right? We're assuming that.
Yeah, we don't know.
That's
we don't know that. But if it is, that's the case. They coming back to Spider-Man, that probably would stop. You know what I'm saying? Spider-Man will probably stop and be really? Are you good? You sure? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
but I feel like they could have gave us that resolution. That wasn't hard to do. That's just like a 5-minute scene of, boom, they went back. This is how their storyline changed a little bit, right? Like, I feel like they could have gave us that payoff instead of just leaving it as like what I was left to assume is basically everything went back to the way it was.
Honestly, I think it's just like a fuck up. I don't think we're supposed to think too hard about it, because that nigga Doc Ock had turned good in Spider-Man 2 before he died.
100%.
That's why he died, because he turned good and decided to save and take the thing under the ocean with him. So I just think they want us to not think about it, just gloss over it and say, oh, okay.
Yeah, but that's my issue with the overhyping. Like, I can understand I could be super nitpicky on certain stuff. I was wrong about Doctor Strange. That's him. I did like the scene with Jamie Foxx when he was like, nigga, I thought you was black. Right. That shit was dope. Yeah, I'll give him
even
that.
Even though it's a plot hole, because then that means he doesn't know who Peter Parker is.
Bing, yeah.
That's a huge plot hole, but it still was one of the funniest parts of the movie.
Right, exactly. I liked the little fat boy using the magic shit. Like, there was good moments. I just think that, like, most of the time I just spent most of the movie being like, Peter, you are a fucking idiot. Like, that was pretty much what I spent watching until the end. And then it was like, oh, look, mature Tobey Maguire. And I feel them on that, but I really wish they would understand. Am I still alive? Oh, okay, cool. I really wish they would understand that the last time I saw Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, I saw him as an emo kid walking up the street acting like a fucking idiot. Mm-hmm. So, like, I didn't come in with that context of like, oh, look at mature. I came in with, oh, this fucking idiot is here too. Okay, cool. Like, let's see what he's gonna say.
You know,
and to me, I felt like all the moments everybody was like oohing and ahhing for was like memeberry moments. They'd be like, I got a Mary Jane too. I got a Mary Jane too. And everybody's like, oh, and I'm like, yes, Spider-Mans have Mary Janes, yeah. That's the thing.
Look,
so 8 out of 10. It wasn't a bad movie. I just have some gripes with how it was executed.